Liam, good to speak to you ahead of the game with Leeds. I promise we'll talk football and Leeds in a moment, but it is transfer deadline day. You talked on Tuesday about a player possibly coming into the building. Have you got any latest news for us on this Thursday lunchtime?
Unfortunately not, no. Nothing confirmed. We're very close. Unfortunately, it's frustrating, drives me mad in terms of it. We're not there yet, but it is close. So unfortunately nothing done for the game tomorrow, which is obviously the disadvantage of playing on a Friday, but yeah, nothing to report yet.
Are you still hopeful the deal will be done even if it's left late?
Yeah, I hope so. I think so. I think it'll happen. So maybe some certain bits, unfortunately, there's so many people involved. Sometimes it does delay it, and unfortunately, that's not our end at the minute. So hopefully, hopefully we can get it done before.
You are head coach. Is that one of the things that's out of your hands? To some point, you've got to let people get on with it, and hopefully the contract's signed and sealed at some point.
Yeah, of course, I'm involved in all of it. So constant, chat with Brian, with Sean, with Tom. But yeah, when it comes to the actual numbers and the negotiation, that's where it's changed. That's not on me. I don't get involved in that side of it. And like I said, there's obviously agents, there's the opposition club, there's large number of people involved, which sometimes is why it delays a little bit.
And I'll ask the question, I probably know the answer, but in terms of outgoings, have you had any bids or offers for your players, or is everyone here going to still be here at February the 2nd for the game against Leeds?
There's still time, so I'd never say 100%, but yeah, I'm 99% sure that the group we've got here will be staying and nobody going out.
So it means you've got the same squad as Tuesday for a tough game against Leeds. In terms of team news, no injuries or niggles from Tuesday?
No, everybody came through the game okay on Tuesday, so obviously, with it being Tuesday, Friday, it's normally Tuesday, Saturday, so you do get the extra day, which means, it impacts on the work we're able to do today. But yeah, no, everybody came through the game okay. We were in yesterday working, doing recovery, we were out on the grass today doing bits, so yeah, everybody's come through it okay, and obviously the nice thing you see it the other night is we've got depth, so we can make changes to the squad, to the starting lineup, and it not look massively different. There's good competition in the group now.
It was interesting hearing Mark Robins after Tuesday just saying that his players were, for want of a better word, tired. But I imagine your players are tired as well. What can you do about that other than maybe rotate the squad? Do you have to manage them during the week, and does it restrict what time you have on the training ground?
It restricts what training you can do. I actually didn't think we looked tired the other night. I was quite pleased with how we finished. Obviously Corns had a terrific chance at the end where the keeper's made a great save, and I think conceding again kind of got us back on track to play. So I actually thought the last sort of 5-10 minutes we finished the stronger side and kind of got back to doing what we were doing first half to control the game. So I actually thought we looked quite fresh. We looked quite good. And like I said, obviously we made a few changes, leaving a few out. People that have started numerous games, like Tommy. So we've got the options of bringing people back in that have potentially had lesser minutes on Tuesday.
I asked you the day you joined the club what kind of style and formation you like, and recently you've been playing three at the back. Just tell me a bit about that system, what you like about it, why it suits your players.
I think it asks a question of the opposition in terms of who marks who jumps on who presses who, and again I think what we then do is work real hard to get the players to see the solution. So the game's so random that different teams will press in different ways. But what we get better at, I think and I feel at the minute is finding the free man and finding the solutions of how we play that in possession. And then out of possession again, I think it's just one where we've kind of found a little bit of balance, and the lads will look comfortable in the shape and not giving up many chances, and also it gets them in positions that we want them in when we're in possession. So it doesn't mean we won't change in the future. We've obviously shown that game to game. I think that what we're doing is coaching the lads to understand the principles of how we play rather than just the system. So again, I think as we get more time and we're able to do more work, I think it gives us more options and more variety.
And I'll proceed this question. You are creating chances, but when you play three at the back, how do you maintain an attacking threat?
I think we did. You watched us the other night. I think that's how you maintain it, by doing what we did the other night. And again, it's three at the back, but some teams play with four at the back, right? So we're one less there. So again, I think it's people in positions, and it's understanding what you do with the ball and making sure you process in the right order. So, you look at Watford, for example, the difference in the two halves is we look forward quicker earlier. And even the other night, I think if you actually look at although Coventry had probably more possession, just actually looked at some numbers on something new that we're putting together. A lot of it was outside and in front of us, whereas a lot of our touches and our possession was actually higher up, which is what we want. So, again, I think, we saw it the other night. We did the video work on Wednesday. We had a look at it. The lads were, I have to say, terrific in the meeting that we had, in being quite tough with ourselves to say, look, let's let's stop being nearly and get the detail right, get the decisions right, and then execute it right in the top third of the pitch, because we got in so many good areas the other night that it's now about making sure that we get the rewards and punish the opposition for all the good stuff that we do.
And we've talked about scoring more goals. Was Tuesday a step in the right direction? A header from Rob Dickey and Naki Wells, his first goal since September.
Yeah, of course, it was that, and it's also the fact, it's frustrating afterwards because we could have scored more. And again, I think it's what we want. We want to push. We have to work extremely hard at the minute to score our goals. So again, I think it's believing that we can, but there's no secret to it. It's hard work. It's analysing yourself. It's being tough on yourself, and then the closer you get to their goal is staying calm. I think that's the biggest bit. We looked at some of the crosses we put in, and they're quite rushed. They're smashed across the box rather than actually taking the time to have a quick look and then making the right decision on the end of it. And that's where, like I said, the lads have been great in terms of wanting to improve, wanting to learn, wanting to get better, and being quite open to that, which for us in terms of how we work is really important. Then it means that we can get better.
And amongst the challenges of playing West Ham and Nottingham Forest, Leeds, how does that compare, aside with ambitions of breaking into the top two?
Yeah, obviously, you have to look at their recent history in the Premier League, so, and maintaining some of those players whilst then being in a position, obviously, with, parachute payments, etc., being able to add to it as well. So they've got strength, they've got depth, but, for me, when you look at how we've performed against, the sides that are up there, we've done well, so we have to take confidence from that and go and do us, go and be the best version of us, because, again, since we've been here, every single game we've played, we've been in and we've been competitive, despite, sometimes not getting the result that we want.
And it feels like a big week, doesn't it? The sellout board's out again on Friday night. You've got Forest next week. How do you bottle up the enthusiasm of supporters at the moment? You just can't get enough of Bristol City.
I don't think you do bottle it up. I think you let it all out. I think that'll be the big thing tomorrow night. We want, like I say, the recent games have been outstanding, the atmosphere, so it's continuing to build on that. And make it a place where, you see it for Leeds, right, in terms of Ellen Road, what that brings for them if you look at their home and away form, and that's what we want to create, and we do that with the fans doing their part, but the players doing theirs as well, which I think what we're showing is that relatable, the values, the honesty, the hard work, the competitiveness, and consistent performances, and that will hopefully keep the fans coming back in their numbers, because there's been some great occasions at home recently.
Thank you.
Going back to the system, formation, setup, that sort of thing. When you arrived at the club, did you have an idea of what you wanted to do, and you subsequently then moved on to that, or was your plan always to move into this system?
Yeah, I think in possession it's quite consistent whether we start with a 3 or a 4. What we try to do, I think it's more on the out of possession, and again, I think what we've just found, is just how we move across the pitch and certain bits that we do. We've found that we've tended to do better in a 3 than a 4, which is why like I said, we've played that recently. It doesn't mean we won't change. I think one of the things is I know what it looks like, but I'm quite adaptable, I'm quite flexible. I'm not obsessed on systems. I think it's more around creating certain principles of play that the players are really clear on, and then getting players in slots where they connect, their relationships are good, their understanding's good, and that you have balance. I think that's the most important bit, rather than coming in going, I want to do this, and trying to force players into it. I think for me, it's you kind of find a middle ground of what I want it to look like, but also what we've got available, and trying to merge the two.
Yeah, so you're led by the players to some extent in that regards, because obviously you need something that works for them.
Yeah, definitely. The game's about the players. They're the ones that have to step on the pitch and execute it, and not only they're the ones that step on and should bring their strengths. I think that's the biggest bit for me, that they come through the system, or we recruit them because of what they're good at. And the last thing you want then is me forcing people into positions where they're not bringing their qualities, and you just get average. So again, I think we work hard to try and do that, but at the same point, I think the structure stuff is quite important. It allows you to keep controlling the game, which I think we've done good jobs of at times recently, especially is maintaining control. So when you turn, if you turn the ball over, you're not spread out across the pitch. You're connected so that you can counter press or recover the block. Being an example. So it's, like I say, there's certain principles that are non-negotiable for us, but the systems and getting people in positions is adaptable.
So you're quite big on the rest defence. I'd imagine that's quite a big thing for you. Have you worked on that quite a lot?
We spoke a lot about it. Yeah, we haven't done we don't get to do a lot of work on anything, right? We speak a lot about it. I think we give real clarity on what that looks like, and I actually do think we've got better at that in terms of, because it's not only to stop the opposition counter-attacks, it's actually to be able to sustain control and keep the ball high up the pitch, which I definitely think the last 2 or 3 games you've seen a lot more possession higher up, where we switch it, sort of 40 yards from their goal where we come out and rather than end up back with Max, we're actually switching play higher up the pitch, which keeps the opposition penned in. So they're bits that there's so much of the game that you want to work on, and we're so restricted time wise, but it's definitely something that we've spoken about.
You talk about the nearly element of, I know you scored twice in the week, but you obviously felt, and I think a lot of people felt it could have been more. Is there, and you touched on it as well with maybe the rush crosses, is there like an underlying theme to that for you in terms of what's not quite happening, how you want it to happen necessarily?
So I think there's a real balance to that. I said to the players, we've done a lot of work on getting to those areas. So if you think back to, I know I said it the other night, but you think back to Millwall or Birmingham where we struggled, and there was a lot of keeping it without the penetration or the purpose. I think what we've hence we then do some work on how do we now turn the control into more chances, and that it's no good starting with the chances if you don't have the control before it to get into good areas repeatedly, which give credit to the players. You see it the other night against the strong side away, who teams notoriously find it hard to go to Coventry. We've gone there, and especially first half, caused them real problems with the ball and got into really dangerous areas. And then for me, it's a balance of giving the lads information and detail, but at the same point giving them freedom to be creative and own it themselves as well. And there's a real balance to that, because if we give them too much and overload them, and it becomes structured and too positional, I think you lose the chaos and the creativity, which you want to see. That's the bit that people get excited by, right? You get in and around the goal, whether it's a 1v1, a 1v2, a 1-2, a combination, or whatever it might be. That area of the pitch, we definitely work in terms of how do we hurt, but at the same point give the players elements to be creative and be free.
Tommy, I did ask you on Tuesday after the game in terms of Tommy. He kind of moved out to a inside sort of left forward type position where he has played. Rotherham was probably the biggest example of that just before he came to the club. But is that, do you feel that brings out strengths in him as well as when he's playing as a central striker?
Yeah, I think it's a good option for us to have. I think in terms of it might be one that we look at in the future, to be fair. I wouldn't ever rule it out. I thought he did a good job when he came on the other night. I think it's different defensively for him. He's done a terrific job defensively as the 9 and what he's done. So, yeah, it's definitely, and you see him and Naki, how they play together. And that's sometimes the challenge, that we don't get to see him in training and try it. So whereas obviously in training, when you train, you get the opportunity to try things like that. We do internal 11v11s. We just haven't had that luxury. So, at the minute, the only way we can experiment and try things out is in game, which obviously then brings different challenges and pressures. So it's definitely something that I'm aware of, that is something that I'll definitely look at in the future.
Because I guess if Tommy's playing, he's then recovering and Naki's training, so they're just almost on different programs type thing. Yeah.
And the bits when I spoke to you before about the number of days you get to train as a group of 20 has been 12, 13 since we've been here. So to actually experiment, it's quite challenging in games at times, because some confidence in knowing what you're getting, I think, is a big thing as well. So it doesn't mean, like you saw the other night, we won't change things, we won't take risks, we won't experiment, but I think there's levels to it as well. And also for the players, in terms of them having clarity on what they're doing and their role and what's being, because you only have to have 1-2 people switched off or not quite get it, and it disjoints the whole team. So yeah, that's the beauty of having 300 games a season.
On the transfer window, in a wider sense, in a sort of a wider sense, I just wondered kind of your experience of being here, and if you can offer insight. I know you say about you're in discussion with Brian and stuff like that, but like how much of your input has kind of gone into this window to an extent?
Yeah, a large amount. It's constant. So even before the window opens, me, Sean, Brian and Hoggy, to be fair, we're constantly assessing the squad, the players, what do we need. And it's not just for what do we need now, but what do we need, for next season as well. So again, I think for me, you constantly work in the short and the medium term, and as you'd seen with Josh Stokes and Adam Murphy for the long term of the club as well. So it's running those three kind of all alongside each other. So regular recruitment meetings, fortnightly, we sit down as a group with the recruitment lads as well. They go, right, squad, options, availability, who do we like, what are the options? Constantly watching video of players. So again, the recruitment guys will upload to my hard drive huge databases of certain individuals, which again all the coaching staff will sit down, have a look at. So when we sit in the meetings and talk about the players, we know what we're talking about. And then obviously, whether it be Sean O'Brien and myself speaking with agents, etc. That's the thing. I think culturally there's a real collaboration. We're all aligned. extremely transparent with how we work. And yeah, like I said, it's been a slow moving window across the game, I think. But I think the one bit you've got, there's so much growth in the group that we've got here, which the progress as well. It's also how do you add to that rather than completely overhaul it, which we don't need to.
How is Adam Murphy getting on with his kind of work?
Yeah, he's very gym based at the minute, so he's definitely heading in the right direction, progressing. Hopefully, see him out on the grass soon. But again, I think it is really important now we get this stage right to then make sure that he's able to deal with the intensity of training, the volume of training, that level. So for me, we'd prefer to take the short term hit, to get the long term gains.
Because I guess their season finished November time, wasn't it? So it's almost like he's had his holiday. Now it's kind of like a pre-season for him, isn't it? Is that how you're seeing it?
Yeah, elements of that definitely. Yeah, and a lot of the like I said, is the gym-based, the strength stuff. I think what you have to look at, especially in England now, is the facility we've got here, the staff. What EPP brings in terms of the accountability to do a strength and conditioning or physical programs for the young players. Whether it be technical or whatever it looks like, they're actually, when they come through, they're in really good positions now with physically where they're at. So I don't want to comment on what they get in Ireland, but in terms of when you do come in, it can take time to to make sure when you're doing the strength work, when you the intensity they train at, being in a position where your body can handle it and not be at risk of injury. That just takes a little bit of time in the gym to make sure he's ready.
Just a quick squads update. Mark Sykes not ready,
Not for tomorrow, no.
but training.
Started training fully today.
And how is Cal and Rob Atkinson?
Cal joined in part of training today as well, to be fair, so he's modified, so he's moving in the right direction. And the final one was?
Rob Atkinson.
Yeah, Rob's full training, so Rob will be, he'll be available soon.
21s, is that an option?
Yeah, we will use that, yeah, definitely. I think it's important, especially for Rob when you've been out that long. I think, getting just, again, because we don't train, but also in terms of, the chaos nature of it, the body's moving across you, around you, etc., the size of things, when you can only do so much when you're training with a group of 10 or 12. So, and also the unpredictability of the opposition and not knowing what you're up against. So, again, we'll definitely use that for probably quite a few players, I think, across the next month when you look at the games programme for the 21.
Cheers, Liam. Thanks.
Since Ross's return to fitness, George Tanner's filled in as one of the back three. I just wonder what you've made of his performances in that role and how well Ross kind of complements him outside.
Yeah, I think both have done well, to be fair. I think they've got a good little understanding. I think, George has been great since we've come in. He's been so consistent. And I think you need people like that. I think he, in terms of does the basics to a really high level. I think he is improving with the ball. We've spoken a bit recently about just being braver and trying to play forward more often, which I think he's doing. 1v1, I think he's outstanding. When he played fullback against Sunderland, I thought he's how he does in duels is excellent. So he's set a benchmark that he needs to sustain now on that one. And then Ross obviously was desperate to get back, hungry to get back, and I think you see that in how he plays. And he's just obviously a different profile. I think he's so direct with his running, and when he receives it, he makes things happen just off of drive, hunger, and physicality. So he's one that we still do have to be mindful of with the period we've got coming up. Hence, not starting him the other night. That need to keep an eye on him and make sure that just because he's doing well and he's had positive impact, that we play him every minute of every game. So we have to be a little bit mindful of Ross's programme.
Yeah, and on the transfer window, if you're not able to get a forward in, I appreciate it might not be the profile of player you're looking to bring in, but was there any possibility of recalling Seb Palmer-Holden from Newport as an extra body up front?
Yeah, I spoke with Brian about it. So Seb's going to come in and do a bit of training with us, but we're going to leave him there. I think I think sometimes when you look at it, you have to do what's best for the player in their development. So again, I think while he's in a really good spot, he's gaining experience, he's learning, developing. I think in terms of bringing him back to be a third choice here at the minute and take minutes off him and just train, for us doesn't feel like the right thing. So he's definitely someone I want to see, someone that I want around the group. So we're going to try and find a programme where he stays with them but also gets a bit with us. So that ultimately, when it comes to pre-season, he knows how we work, what we try and do, and we can have obviously a really good opportunity to look at him there. So I think, where it's at the minute, I think he's in a really good place. Newport have done a terrific job and provided him with opportunity, and he's ultimately grabbed it. So, at the minute there's no plans to do that.
And just on Hayden, obviously he's been in the recent squads, hasn't quite managed to get any minutes yet. You've spoken before about how much is being asked of Cam Pring, kind of on that left side, up and down. With the really busy schedule ahead, can we expect to see Hayden given his chance in the starting 11 at some point?
Yeah, Hayden's had to be patient, which I know he's frustrated about, but that's the game, and in the context of it, when you've not played in a long period and people are in credit and people are performing well, you have to be patient and make sure that you grab them, the opportunity when it arises. Pringy's obviously suspended against Forest as well, so that might potentially have clearly not picked the team that day, but I think the fact that Pringy's suspended, might be something that we might look at in the future. So I think it's good that we got the competition. It means when people step on the pitch, there's pressure to perform, and if you want to be successful as a team and you want to continually progress and get better, you need people that are pushing you. And again, I think at the minute when you look at it, Dickie's done terrific in that position. Pringy's been excellent as well. So Hayden's got to be patient, and when he gets the opportunity, make sure he grabs it.
Yeah, and just on Leeds, obviously they got a lot of attacking threat, including the wide players, a lot of pace with Somerville and Dan James. Leeds have actually attempted the most one-against-one take-ons of any team this season. So will the message to your wing-backs be a bit more conservative, or given how you've kind of put a couple of Premier League teams to the sword in recent weeks, would it be play your usual game and make Leeds kind of react to your style?
I'm not giving you the strategy for tomorrow. I think, for me, good stats as well, by the way. I think for me, we'll have a clear game plan, and it doesn't. Of course, we make certain tweaks and changes because of the opposition, but I think the biggest bit is control what we can control and be really clear in how we think we can get success. So, like I said, we've done the work, we'll be ready, and it's on the lads. I think in any game, duels are massive, whether it be in the air, on the floor, 1v1s with wingers, wherever it is. Duels are all over the pitch. So again, I think we have to be prepared. And most games, if you dominate most duels, I think you come out on top as a team. So the big message will be we have to dominate duels all over the pitch.